Good night, everybody. The Fantasmagorium show is pleased to present a show that happens sometimes on time, sometimes the first half of the show, and sometimes no one ever shows up. The tale of Quentin Tarantino is a tumultuous one and cannot be told chronologically. Sure. Tonight we review an alternative history of spoilers where a bunch of guys go and burn down a movie theater that a French lady set, and they shoot Hitler in the face. It is the 9th, 6th, 7th? What film? Eighth film?
No, 7th.
This is what happens when you don't show up to rehearsals, Kat.
No, this is what happens when you don't review it in chronological order.
How are you, Kat? Oh, no, I am Scotty R37. Kat is on brain detail. And Steve did give me a login code, and for that we thank him. Welcome to Bullets, Blades, and Babes. This is the last Tarantino movie we're going to be reviewing?
Yep, until he comes out with his next one.
Until the 10th. But before we move on to the show proper, Cinema Gulp, thank you for being here fashionably late. I appreciate you saying fashionable, but I don't think so. Anti-Derivative Jill is also here. Thank you. My co-host from another show that sometimes also starts on time. Actually, it's about time. So then we have Tom Jr. Jackson. Wouldn't be a show if not late. True. I promise that this week I won't have a stroke. StreamYard, do everybody do their solitary share, their StreamYard share. But thank you so much for being here. It is a pleasure. I know I saw Lemon. Here we are. Hey, Lemon. And Cinema Gulp, Ben. Were you supposed to be on the show? Was Ben supposed to be here?
Yeah, he was going to be last week, and then something came up.
Okay.
Related.
Right. That was fun.
But
where
if
did we leave off?
Wants to, you can throw him a link.
Yeah, he's more than welcome, actually. Yeah, no, I can do that. But yeah, where did we leave off last week? And I apologize, and I appreciate everybody who was watching last week, and they were like, what happened to Scott? I got a bunch of lovely direct messages, and it was a frightening situation. I spoke to a nutritionist, and they told me, have you tried eating? And I was like, not a bad idea. So that's where we are.
We got to. I was just had finished explaining Hans Landa's making his deal on the phone to end the war tonight, and I was talking about that he seems to be like an opportunist. Like he doesn't seem to believe in any actual cause. He's just going wherever it benefits him, and I guess that's kind of what we take from him. But I was kind of weirded out because if that's who he is. He did seem genuinely upset that Bridget von Hammersmark was a traitor, even though he has no qualms about betraying the Nazi cause himself, which I thought was kind of interesting because that's like a contradiction there. Because you can tell there's a lot of fury in him when he strangles her, but then he just casually, without a care in the world, just takes Aldo and Little Man over to the or Udovich over to the whatever hideout wherever else they go and makes that phone call and is like. And I'd like to let them know that I even slid the bomb under the other seat personally. And he's like, that last part's actually true. Which I thought was funny. So it's like I can't really peg him on a board thing, on a dartboard. It's like, okay, you seem to be an opportunist. Like he explains in the first chapter that he's perceived his job of hunting down the Jews as if he's hunting down rats or just a regular hunter. He's like, oh, whatever, as if he doesn't believe in the cause, but then again, he's really upset when someone betrays the cause. Oh, but then he goes ahead and does it himself. So he's a very interesting character in that regard.
He's a vain opportunist, I would say. Like, I agree with you. I don't think that. I think it's also sort of an indication of the passage of time in terms of how long he's been doing it throughout the Second World War. Oh, by the way, everybody, we are building on a conversation from a video from last week that is currently private. So should we start at the beginning?
Well, we're going to stitch these two together, and the reason we're
Right.
broadcasting live now is so we can get everybody's comments, and then afterwards we'll make this video private, and then we'll stitch the two halves together to make a whole video.
So we're actually going to edit the rest of this out in post?
Well, we're going to keep this whole episode here, but we're just going to edit it together with the first half, so that way it'll still be episode 14. It won't be part 1, part 2. It'll be episode 14, Inglorious Basterds, and then we'll cut out the ending of the last video.
Oh, but that was my action scene.
Your action scene. Well, that's just to let people know what we're going to do.
My apologies for having a stroke last week won't make any sense if we cut that out.
And we can leave that part in, and we'll have a jump cut.
Anyway, welcome back. But yeah, no, it is. And also we get an uncredited Harvey Keitel doing the phone call, which I thought was absolutely fantastic. And I do really enjoy, like, it is the culmination of Brad Pitt's Aldo Rain. Like, he is the ultimate, I don't know, Bugs Bunny. When he kills the guard or the officer that comes with what's his name?
With Londa and Yudovich.
Exactly. And they shoot him and it's like, you'll be shot. And it's like, nah, I'll be chewed out. I've been chewed out. And
I've been chewed out. I've been chewed out before. No, he got really, it's funny how mad Londa got, because it's like, they make the deal. And he'd also talked about how people should embrace their nicknames, because Yudovich was surprised that his nickname was Little Man. He's like, why? And he talks about the hangman of, the guy earned his nickname. He's like, oh, I guess I've earned mine. And so when they get out of the truck for the exchange, and he's like, Aldo insists that they put the handcuffs on him. And he's like, oh, please, is this really necessary? And so once he shoots the other guy, Londa really freaks out. He's like, I made a deal with your general for that man's life. And I was like, no, they made a deal for you. He's like, no, you didn't. You made a deal for your life. You'll be shot for this. Nah, I've been chewed out. And that was great. I've been chewed out before. And then he just kind of, and of course, Hans Landa knows what's coming because he's already interrogated all the survivors. So he knows what's going to happen. So he doesn't even entertain the thought. He just gives him this look like he's afraid. And I noticed like his cap is kind of sliding down a little below his eyes. And you just see the frown on his face as he's like, yeah, let me guess. You're going to go, I could picture, you're going to go to Nantucket. You're going to get your house in Little Island. And then you're going to probably never put on that uniform again, are you? Well, then I'll give you something you can't take off. And I'm like, oh, I wonder if they're going to show it this time. And
and it's so good.
Oh, and that's another thing. I forgot to mention that about what happened to Shoshana.
Right. Right. We didn't even talk about that.
Yeah, so they were screening the movie. And right as the video's playing, and you have what's their names, Donnie Donowitz and his buddy Ulmer go in there, and they're seeing all these high-ranking Nazis like Martin Bormann, Hermann Goring, and all these people, and Donnie just can't take it anymore, so he just gets out of his seat, leaves, goes upstairs, and sees Hitler poke his head out of the opera box, the main box, and asks for something. And the look on Donnie's face is he just gets kind of like really excited, like a kid on Christmas is about to get his favorite present. So he runs back downstairs to in the theater to Omar, and he's like, get over here. So he rings him over, and they've still got the dynamite strapped to their legs at this point, something which Londa knew about and wasn't going to stop. And so they run back upstairs, and they put on these dinner jackets just as Marcel is going to lock the door. So they got out just in time. And they're getting ready to go down the hall, and meanwhile, that's when what's his name, Daniel Bruhl's character, the Nazi love with Shoshana,
Nation's Pride or whatever.
Yeah, he sneaks out of the theater, and Goebbels gives him permission, saying, "Oh, it's completely understandable, boy, that you don't want to watch this. Go." So he goes into the box, and Shoshana sees him in there in the projection room, and she's kind of surprised, like she didn't really anticipate this. And she's kind of trying to usher him out, and he's not really listening. And that's when her part of the video gets spliced in, where she chastises all the Nazis and saying, "You're all going to die, and you're looking at the Jew who's going to do it." And he sees this and hears it. And then they just kind of unceremoniously just shoot each other to death in the projection booth, and I thought that was a bit of a dud for her ending, because they I thought they made it pretty clear that Hans Landa is her enemy, and they even reminded her of that when she's forced to go to the breakfast brunch thing, and Landa comes in there and she's really afraid and trying to keep cool, but they deprive her of that, of having her revenge against him. And I just thought it was kind of a bit disappointing that they just kind of shoot each other, and it's like, really? I don't know. What'd you think of that, Scott?
When you say unceremonious, hey Phil, when you say unceremonious, I sort of disagree, because I think it's kind of a beautiful moment of betrayal and vengeance. Because, like, he turns out to be quite the sleaze. Because he shows up and he's a war hero and everything like that. And he's like, do you have any idea who you're turning down? And sort of starts to force himself, and then goes to leave. And she's like, hang on a second. Because he can't have her going back in, have him going back in, which is almost saving his life, but not. Because then she comes out and shoots him. Then he shoots her. And this beautiful crescendo of music happens. It is, I don't know. It is a cinematic unrequited that I have never seen before, and I really enjoy. And it is only trumped by one of the other most surprising things I've seen in a movie ever. And that was when Hitler got shot in the face.
Yeah, that was a great scene. Because I love the trick too when they go in. Like Donnie walks up there holding like a platter of like wine glasses or whatever, and he's got the gun underneath it, and he's like, hey, he offers it, and then he just punches him in the face. Like, that was really
the punch guns.
The punch guns are awesome. And then once the video's playing and Marcel's like, we should shot it, he starts the fire, and the theater starts burning down. Everybody's screaming, trying to get to the exits, and then Hitler's like completely beside himself as he turns to open the door, and then he and Goebbels just get shot to death by Donnie and Omar with their Uzis, just mowing them down. And then even after he's dead, he just stands over him and just keeps shooting him and not
keeps
stopping.
Going. Wouldn't you?
Oh yeah, for sure. I probably would have thrown him over the balcony while he was still alive and let him burn. But then that's another thing that Donnie and Omar do. They get to the edge of the balcony and they start firing on the audience, and they're just I love how they're just totally ignorant of the fire. Like they don't even. It's like they probably didn't even hear the video, her part of the film, because he's just got tunnel vision. It's like Hitler, Goebbels, we gotta kill him, and he's just firing on everybody. And it cuts to a bit of slow motion at one point where you just see a close up on Donnie as he's firing, like.
Oh, he's just furiously gleeful.
Yeah, and it's like he and Omar forget about the dynamite strapped to their legs, and it just kind of, the timer eventually reaches 0, and they explode along with everybody else, and all the people, Nazis screaming, trying to get out of the building. And I couldn't tell if Marcel was able to make his escape or not. I would assume there was a back door he could have slipped out of and locked. They never show it. But then the whole theater just burns down, and eventually it just explodes to pieces.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we cut back to, and that was just a brilliant ending that I just thought, how poetic of a way that all the head Nazis die, burning to death and getting shot to death in the theater watching their bullshit propaganda films.
Well, and my sister, I don't know if I brought this up last week, but my sister had an interesting theory about it. When she first saw it, she sent me a message, and she found it really fascinating that in Quentin Tarantino's World War II movie, not only was sort of comeuppance given by a filmed piece of work by Shoshana, but also that the tinder that lights the box that kills the Nazis is film celluloid. And not only that, but it was orchestrated by the propaganda minister. In terms of everything surrounding the end of the Third Reich, it is very Tarantino. And then again, we also, and this is beyond what my sister said, but something that I've considered based on her sort of view of it, and it has become subsequent sort of headcanon fictional lore, that the history of the Quentin Tarantino movies, from like Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, the reason that they talk the way they do is because movies had such an integral role in ending the Second World War. Like the reason that everyone is so enamored with going to the movies and pop culture references, and I don't know, it all fits. It's all a world. It's like Kevin Smith's universe. It's the
Well, yeah, because it's like
the Red Apple world.
And also as part of that poetry is the thing that also galvanized a lot of people to the cause is Leni Riefenstahl's films like Triumph of the Wills, at the beginning of the Nazi takeover. So it is more poetic that one of their own propaganda films ends up luring them into the trap that burns them all down.
Exactly. What is it? No, Triumph of the Will. Nation's Pride. It's Nation's Pride.
Well, Nation's Pride is the one they're watching, but Triumph of the Wills is the one that was put out around 1933 or so that helped galvanize a lot more people to that movement. And you see like Riefenstahl's name on the marquee when Shoshana first meets Daniel Brüsker when she's taking down the letters and changing it. And he had asked her, "Oh, have you seen Riefenstahl's film?" She's like, "Oh, I have some thoughts about Leni Riefenstahl," but she doesn't actually share it, and he misinterpreted it to think she was going to praise her, which of course she's not. And so that was just grand when the whole theater just finally explodes and somebody's carcass gets blown out the front door to end it. Before we cut back to just this almost dead silent shot of the military transport truck driving along and coming to a stop where they swap places with Aldo and Yudovich and Landa. And then when he shoots him and he knows what's going to happen and all of that. And I almost wondered if the movie was going to end here because I thought it would have been really funny if we actually follows him like into the base, the camp or whatever, wherever they're going, whatever base they're going to, so you can meet Harvey Keitel and see his reaction. Because it's so great when you see that close-up shot when he's cutting it in there. It feels so brutal. And you hear Landa screaming, but you never see his face.
Yeah.
You just see them carve it, and then finally he's like, Aldo's like, "You know something, Yudovich? I think this just might be my masterpiece." And it definitely is.
Well, and in a sort of metatextual way, a lot of people were just saying, like, you know how there's Oscar bait for movies?
Mm-hmm.
That was his Oscar bait line.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, if I can't do better than this, fuck it.
Yeah, pretty much.
I resisted watching it again tonight because I watched it last week. And I resisted watching it again because I've seen the Inglorious Basterds probably about like 5 times, I think. And it's a movie that I sort of hold dear. Like it's okay. So whenever I want to watch The Great Escape or The Dirty Dozen or A Bridge Too Far or Inglorious Basterds now, I don't until I really need to because I don't want to wear it out. I don't want it to become such old hat that it's like, yeah, I used to like that movie, but I wore out the record. This movie last week when I watched it, I was ear to ear grinning the entire time. I was like elbows on knees. It just made me feel so happy.
Yeah. Yeah, that was really something, and I was kind of surprised. I just think the whole movie is a great example of Alfred Hitchcock's the bomb under the table thing with chapter 1. Chapter 2, not really, because that's more, well, a little bit when you anticipate the exact opposite, that the bear Jew is going to come out of the cave, which is a totally different type of anticipation rather than dread from the first half, and then you flip it for the second. And then the third, they redo it again with her at the theater and going out to brunch, and then with the fourth with everything in the bar, which admittedly I thought could have been more interesting if they had more interesting characters there. And then the fifth is like more like another eager anticipation. But it's just really good scripting for that, engaging. I admit, though, I would have liked to see more of the Basterds because they're not really in the movie very much, despite it's their namesake. And I would have liked to see the other German. I mean, we see how Hitler reacted. He's like completely beside himself. That he's like, "You will never mention Bear Jew," all this kind of stuff again. But I kind of wanted to see what the other rank and file Germans thought of them, like on the, the ones who hadn't been captured, who were just discovering the aftermath of all their atrocities and what they thought about it. Because you don't really hear that. You don't really hear that at all. And I thought that would have come up in conversation with the group of soldiers that were having the night off at the bar. Like maybe hear some more about that or whatever. Like maybe cut to upstairs every once in a while with the Basterds listening in to the Germans talking about their exploits or whatnot. But you don't. And they're just they're kind of there, but given that Shoshana's trap was sufficient enough on its own, you didn't really need the dynamite or the guns to finish the job. So it's like
But
their
they didn't
presence would be
know.
very superfluous.
It was serendipitous.
Yeah. And they interestingly never find out about each other's plans, interestingly enough.
Nope. Well, everyone who matters.
But I did find out something interesting. I guess Tarantino participated in a podcast once, and they were talking about what would Londa's life in Nantucket really realistically be like.
Ooh.
I was like, well, he had to wear his hair down like long bangs to cover the insignia on his forehead, because of his reputation of apparently being a very wild detective because of all of the accolades he got as per his demands. He ended up getting roped into a detective murder mystery on the island, a la Sherlock Holmes, because that's what's expected of him. But eventually he was found out, the deal was reneged, and he faced prosecution for war crimes.
Like a Nazi Hercule Poirot?
Apparently, and I would love to see a follow-up like that with him.
I'd love to read the novel.
Yeah, that would make a great novel. But that was a fun story. And then maybe I just imagine what would get Aldo Rain going back to, finding out about that, reading about it in the paper or whatever, back moonshining in the Smoky Mountains of Tennessee. That'd be fun. But again, it's like I love the Aldo Rain character. He's so fun, but he's like, again, barely in the movie.
Yeah. Well, and that was at the time. I remember feeling a little ripped off.
I did too.
I was going in for a Quentin Tarantino Dirty Dozen, and I got something more sprawling than I expected. I went in looking for the Dirty Dozen, and I ended up getting a messed up Longest Day.
Yeah, because on the one hand, I like the bait and switch in the sense that I think the Shoshana story is really strong, but I still miss not getting more of. It's like they advertise the movie saying this is what this movie is going to be, and it's like, well, actually, you showed us all the juicy stuff. Well, granted, most trailers do that, but it literally showed us just about everything of them in that chapter, in that Red Band trailer, and then the rest of it is just, the unrelated storyline.
Well, but there, and despite the Basterds not being in it as much, it does have an incredible chock-a-block of Tarantino-isms. Speaking of Tarantino-isms being injected chock-a-block, it's Ben.
Yeah, baby.
Hey,
big kahuna burger.
You got the big kahuna. Let me get this there banner out of your face.
Every time we talk Tarantino, I got to wear the big kahuna burger shirt. I don't want to interrupt too much. I had my chance to be a part of this panel, but I want to be a one.
But they let me back.
I want to be a one and done here because did you guys know that Tarantino, and hello, by the way, hello. Did you guys know that Tarantino wrote the Bear Jew for Adam Sandler? I'm sure you did.
Yes. Yeah, we talked about that last week. Yeah.
Oh, you already talked about it. Oh, I didn't. I missed last week, but what a shame because Eli Roth obviously took the part, and I think they cut it down significantly when Adam Sandler had to do Funny People, which is such a travesty because that movie's not funny. It's not good. What a wait. But it's not Inglorious Basterds.
I thought Eli Roth did fine in the role. I thought they could have did
fine. No, he did fine. He did fine. I just mean that it was cut down because it was a bigger role.
Right. But I mean fine in the sense that I don't think they really needed to cut down the role just because they put cast Eli Roth in his place. I think
it was a funnier character. I think it had more personality and more lines that Adam Sandler was supposed to do. And Eli Roth is a torture porn director. He's not an actor. So, so they cut that out. But so where were you guys? Sorry, I didn't realize.
That's true because his character isn't really a comedy character in anything that he says. He's like really into what he's doing, but that's kind of what I like about him. He's like fury incarnate, like I'm vengeance.
Yeah. It kind of turned into an iconic character even without the Sandler,
Yeah, I'm trying to picture what the Sandler version would look like. Would it be humorous, but not Sandler humor? Maybe different type of Sandler humor?
Well, I know Sandler had gotten really buff for a movie right before that called like Zohan or something.
Oh yeah, you don't mess with the Zohan.
Yeah, so he got really buff. So I was like, okay, so he's going to go into a Tarantino movie all buff and stuff like that. But it never happened. But so I'm guessing he would have been intimidating, but he would have had that really loud, the Adam Sandler screaming thing, like kind of like Happy Gilmore just running around hitting golf clubs over Nazis' heads.
Three words: punch, drunk, love.
Yeah, that guy. He would have been that guy,
and that would have been amazing.
That's really funny, and I don't know if it's. I mean, yes, it's funny. It puts a smile on your face when you see Donnie do what Donnie does, but I don't know if I need him acting like happy
no.
while he's doing it.
But I think that there's something about the juxtaposition of we are terrified of the Bear Jew, and if you think about the height and build of Adam Sandler at that time, and I remember hearing about this. I remember reading it on, for anyone who doesn't care, on Ain't It Cool News. I remember reading that, Adam Sandler was going to be in the new Tarantino movie. He was going to play a character called the Bear Jew. And then I remember all the coverage when I saw it. I was on the waning or the early stages of the internet being like, what did everybody else think? And they were like, wouldn't it have been cool if Adam Sandler was? And people were of two minds, but I always thought it reminds me now looking back of when Henry Fonda was the bad guy in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, because you have America's grandfather as this murderous villain. And when you have
Once Upon a Time in the West.
Once Upon a Time in the West, not like, Hollywood, sorry. You know what? My go-to Once Upon a Time is in Hollywood. So, but Once Upon a Time in the West, and it was like America's granddad is going to be this awful, horrible, murderous, evil guy. And if the scene of the Bear Jew coming out of the cave, and it's like, that's Adam Sandler. And then he beats the shit out of a guy with a baseball bat. I think it would have been done differently, as opposed to focusing just on the ferocity of beating someone to death with a baseball bat. But the fact that it was Adam Sandler doing it, there may have been like sort of one of those freeze frame contorted faces with blood flying up or something.
You're 100% right. It would have been directed completely different, because when you have Eli Roth there, what do you associate him with?
Nothing.
You associate him with like that kind of brutality, so it just made sense, and he was having fun in that schoolhouse.
If I asked my sister who Eli Roth was, she would be like, I do not know.
No, that's true. But Tarantino knew who he was, and he knew what his sensibilities were. So it kind of made sense that you'd watch him actually go through with all this stuff. And
he also directed the film within the film, Nation's Pride.
Well,
oh my God, yeah,
that's true. And it would have been an interesting juxtaposition having Adam Sandler and Mike Myers in the same movie. It's a Saturday Night Live movie, everybody.
All we need to do is get Chris Farley. Oh.
As the Beeve. We don't say dead. We say unavailable.
I'm gonna let you guys get back to it. But one of the last things I wanted to say was, Scotty, when you talked about how even though he's going backwards in time, the way that Tarantino shapes his characters in his older movies, but take place in more recent times, the way he shapes the way they speak is some of these older movies. I love that. Like, even going to like The Hateful Eight. I know you were talking about this one, the love for film and stuff like that, but all of it's so interesting. And I wonder if he really meant it to be that way, or like we just caught on to that, but I love that you said that, like, this movie specifically, because this is one of my favorite Tarantino movies ever. I mean, this really got me back into Tarantino. I mean, I love the Kill Bill movies. Obviously, I like re-edited them, but like, I did not like at all Death Proof. Not a fan of that one. And he was doing some kind of weird stuff in that time frame. So when he came back and did this movie, it was like, it just blew me away, and I was so happy that it got the the recognition it deserved, because it's such a great film. But this movie specifically really touches into like why the characters in later films that, like I said, take place in more recent times talk the way they do. I thought that was really clever that you picked up on that, or that you came up with that theory.
It's an amalgamation.
Fact, yeah. No. I mean that it takes somebody that watches Tarantino movies to go like, oh yeah, that's probably a thing, because I nerd out with Tarantino and I go like, maybe this is because of this and this is because of this, even if that's not what he did intentionally.
Well, and you came on asking about Donnie Donowitz. Don't forget, Lee Donowitz is the producer from
Don't you
True
look at
Romance.
me. I'll fucking have you killed.
I treated you like a fucking cat.
And Archie, Archie Hickox is like the great something grandson of Hickox, played by Tim Roth in Hateful Eight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, oh my God. See, there's so many pickups. I would like to think that that Mr. Blonde is somewhat related to Joe Gage. Probably not, except for appearance, and they're both played by Michael Madsen, but who knows? They both have that same evil, just like, I can kill you with glazed eyes, I don't care,
Well, we did Natural Born Killers. It was fine.
Yeah, I watched
it. But what was it? Scagnetti.
Yeah,
who's your parole officer? Scagnetti. Oh, that's
Jack
son of a
Scagnetti
bitch.
and Seymour Scagnetti. I say they're supposed to be the same person. But
I think so too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Tom Sizemore in was he also in Reservoir Dogs?
He's just referenced in Reservoir.
Okay, Reservoir's right. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people always think Tom Sizemore is Michael Madsen and vice versa, even though one is about a foot taller than the other. But they just have a similar aura.
Yeah.
One is the GoBot of the other, and I don't know which way it goes.
I'd say Sizemore is the GoBot. And
I think, yeah.
Madsen is the Transformer, for sure.
Here is your slice of life, ladies and gentlemen. Both Tom Sizemore and Michael Madsen are alive still today.
Yeah.
I don't have the facts to back that up. I'm going to look up if Michael Madsen still alive? I don't know.
Yeah, he's still alive. Hell yeah, he's still alive.
What about the other guy?
Yeah.
Tom Sizemore is still alive. I think he's been on celebrity rehab for about the last 15 years.
Oh, nice. It's a growth industry.
Yeah, Madsen probably was too recently, but yeah.
Yep, Tom Sizemore and Michael Madsen are both still alive. You're welcome. Have a happy Wednesday.
Anyway, guys, thanks for sending me the link. I'm going to let you get back to your show, but I wanted to say thank you for sending me the link. And
you're welcome. This
movie is extraordinary. It was my favorite movie of 2009.
Wow.
One of my favorite Tarantino movies. It's by far the best Christopher Waltz performance. I mean, he's great, but
you didn't like the Green Hornet?
No, I like him in everything, but he rises over this movie in just this way. And I heard Kat say he's not in that much of it. He's always kind of there when he's not there in this movie, and that's what I like about it.
I say he was in a good amount of it. I said the other characters, the Basterds, aren't in much.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, the Basterds are barely in their own movie.
Yeah.
They're kind of a complete afterthought. There's all these other subplots going on, which are way more interesting, by the way. So it's a movie about the love of film, the love of theater. I love that Scotty brought up like the celluloid is what like burns all the Nazis at the end.
All the nitrate.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's one of his best. And time will tell if it becomes even better to me than something like Jackie Brown or Pulp Fiction, because it's right there. Those three, they're just right there. They're just hanging around. But thanks. Go ahead. Go.
Oh, no trouble at all. Just before you go.
Yeah.
Did you notice my hat?
Yeah, it's a Whalen Yutani hat. It's awesome. I always get John a Whalen Yutani something for his birthday every year because Aliens is his favorite movie. So anyway, I'm running out of shit to give him though. So
you got to get him a plush face hugger.
Yeah, I'll get him a Funko Pop of Paul Reiser's character if they ever make that. That'd be great. Man.
And even though I'm Canadian, yesterday I would have voted for Carter J. Burke.
Is he Canadian? Is he Canadian?
No, Paul Reiser is not Canadian.
Okay,
He's from New York. He's a New York Jew.
Yeah, okay. Well, I knew that, but I didn't know. Yeah. Anyway, guys.
Anyway,
thank you so much. What did you just say?
I just said get out.
He just said get out.
Have a great one. I'll be in the chat.
Like, this is worse. I haven't even watched the Lord of the Rings trilogy yet, and that was more endings than Return of the King. So that being said, Kat, when it comes, thank you, Ben. I love you so much, and especially because you allow me to make a little bit of fun on your way away. So all in all, did you give it bullets? Did we do bullets last week? Did I give it 10 bullets already?
We haven't done bullets yet.
Can I give it 10 bullets?
If you want,
I think so.
I'll give it 9 bullets.
Okay. What kills it?
Again, I wanted to see more of the Bastards in their own movie. I mean, I like the story with Shoshana a lot, and I like the symmetry and all the stuff you're talking about, and how I like how they paralleled that with the whole Leni Riefenstahl thing, and it's like that's all really cool. But I kind of only wanted Shoshana and Londa to have her, thing with Londa and deal with that. I just thought that was kind of, I mean, I get it, but it's just kind of abrupt. I'm like, oh, she's dead. And the Bastards is like, oh, you have Operation Kino. This sounds like it's gonna be really fun. Oh, you're gonna put all the fun characters upstairs and not listen to them. While we listen to Michael Fassbender be boring and Brigitte von Hammersmark be kind of boring while the SS officer steals the scene. and it's like, so yeah, I kind of wanted more of that, but it's still a very good movie, very great script.
Did Michael Myers take you out of the movie?
Did Mike Myers take me out of the movie? No.
No. The part where Michael Myers showed up.
He didn't show up.
I know. Did Mike Myers take you out of the movie?
No.
Me either.
I liked his character in that too. I would have liked to see more of it. And funny, he played a very similar character very recently in a different film.
I hate it when I stop my camera to cough.
Maybe you could put the banner back up.
I could. Now that I have complete control, and thanks again. This show has been sponsored by the Fantasmagorium, a place that lets us play.
Shall we dive into the comments?
We should. I'm trying to figure out where the top of the comments are. Oh, first things first, big shout out to longtime listener, first time caller, Scotty R37, donating $5. I don't even know if I'll ever see that money back.
You could use that money to bribe Steve to get access to the live link.
Yeah, essentially, I think that's how it's going to work. Tom Jr. Jackson says, "You putz," and he's true.
Yes.
Thank you, Cinema Gulp, for recognizing. Did Scotty just pay himself? Yes. And for the record, yeah, we're about 40 minutes behind on the chat. What of it? Sly Snide says, giggleless laughter. Gulp says, don't feel bad. You're having a traction with the chat without a show than we do with one.
More traction in the chat without a show than we do with one. That is sad. And most of the chat is...
It is kind of frustrating, don't you think?
What?
Well, don't you think it's frustrating that first of all, if you are subscribed to the Fantasmagorium show, thank you. But if you're not subscribed to Cinema Gulp, give it a go. You're going to have hours and hours of entertainment on a breadth of topics,
including the Phantom Live video, which might go live anytime. Who knows?
Any day now.
Yeah.
It's like that supernova we're all waiting for. Here we go. Tom says, this the show, guys. Just do it all in text.
Yeah.
Thank you again, Lemon, and third favorite, but also it's a neck and neck. It's a photo finish. Is this show sponsored by a film? No, not officially, but if you'd like to go and buy a copy of Bed of the Dead.
We'll just say that because we're recording this one today, that it's sponsored by Skyfall for its 10th anniversary today.
Oh, I do. Hey, that's neat. Let me see. What can we do? Oh, you know what? I never get to use this one, but I think just for just for this particular instance. There we are. This is also our 10th anniversary of Skyfall show, ladies and gentlemen, brought to you by Timothy Dalton. Oh, where was it? Tom was asking about Crimson Tide. There we are. Did you know that Tarantino did an uncredited punch-up of the film Crimson Tide? Did you know that?
I believe I read that before, but I've not seen Crimson Tide, so I wouldn't be able to tell you where the Tarantino-isms are in that movie. But I do know he's done some uncredited rewrites on a lot of stuff.
Well, and there you go. That's what that $5 was donated for. Someone go to a used DVD store in California and buy Crimson Tide. Go to a Red Box, rip them off 2 counties over, and drop it off. Black Philip Alvarez is here. Hola, amigo.
Hola.
Oh, did I shout out Jill? I'm going to shout out Jill, shouting out Phil. And, well, you know, should I skip Ben? Because he was here.
No, we're going to talk about it because he says he agrees with me. Total dud of an ending for her. Sort of like just getting that story out of the way. Sucks. I agree 100%. I mean,
and then he follows up. He follows up with, damn it, I also agree with Scotty on this. So I don't know which side of the fence you're sitting, sir.
I guess sometimes you could come up with things that are poetic, but it's like, I get it because she doesn't, like, you're right. She doesn't want him to go back because he'll discover what's going on. But at the same time, it just kind of, it's like they shot each other and that's it. And she doesn't know that Londa got away.
Yeah, I guess that is. You're right. And you know what? I could accept that as being a star off that Shoshana did not get her vengeance.
Yeah, because especially in the beginning when he aims the gun and he just counts it, I'm not going to shoot her. It's just funnier to see her run away. And he, au revoir, Shoshana. And then when they have the dramatic music beat when she's at the brunch and because when he steps behind her, she recognizes the name. And then he sits down and he takes her hand and then she finally breaks down afterwards. It's like they're building to something here. And she doesn't see or speak with Londa again or have her moment with him. And it's like, oh, this little persnickety Daniel, guy is going to spoil the party. Even though she didn't, I guess to be fair, she didn't know that Londa had already left the theater.
Now, I have a question.
Yeah.
So we start off the movie with the character of Shoshana.
Yeah.
Her family dies. She is the only survivor. She goes and she gets a new life. Through the course of her life, she ends up inheriting a movie theater, which I assume to be absolutely true. Right?
She mentions that she inherited it from somebody else who she went to work for a few years. And
something like that.
And it was kind of implied that maybe she had something to do with them dying or something. Like maybe she fooled them into thinking she wasn't Jewish and they didn't know.
Of course she did.
Swindled them out of the theater. Yeah, but she might have swindled them out of the theater or I can't remember where I read that, but then it was sort of at one point going to be implied that maybe she had something to do with why, or maybe I can't remember. It's because she gave the name.
So you've got nothing.
They mentioned who the name of the person was who owned the theater before her and what happened. And
yes.
Yeah.
And then she says that she inherited it.
Yes, she did. Or she stole it, but whatever.
Or she stole it. Or Cliff Booth killed his wife.
Yeah.
So anyway, it is through the course of events that she has found a corner to ride out the war, right?
Yeah.
And then Baron Zemo becomes a war hero. They make a movie out of him. And they want to premiere that movie at her theater when she was trying to do was get out of the way of the war, right?
Yeah.
So she hates Germans or Nazis, or let's say Nazis. She wants to wait out the war in an entertainment service capacity, right? And then the one thing that could completely usurp her neutrality, isolation from the situation, that guy shows up in her life, and I forget Baron Zemo's name in the movie. People in like, I'm still trying to hang on a second. I gotta put a star here and see what people in the chat, because they might be yelling at me right now. Hey, Buckaroo Brothers, Carol. There are so many people here. But so anyway, Baron Zemo shows up at her theater, and then Hans Landa shows up, completely intimidates
Frederick Zoller,
her.
I think is his name.
Frederick Zoller, Herr Zoller. So Frederick Zoller shows up, Fred. And then Hans Landa shows up. So Herr Zoller brought Hans Landa to Nightmare Shoshana, right?
Yeah.
I do believe, and this is me just extrapolating to try and fill in that one star. It's only a 9 out of 10. Where'd the other star go? Disapproving parent. Just trying to fill in that last star. What if Hans Landa represents the existential dread of the Third Reich, but Zoller is the actual invasion into her day-to-day life? And there is more catharsis in killing the shit out of Fred than there is in avenging the entire thing. And if there is in a more cathartic thing, it would probably be, if you want to invade my space, then I will burn it the fuck down with all of you in it.
Here's something.
Am I still supposed to be paying attention to the chat? This is going to take days.
I found out that Frederick Zoller was inspired by a real sniper, Matthias Hessensauer, who killed 345 people with a sniper fighting the Soviets in the Carpathians, Hungary, and Slovakia. Wounded with a gunshot to the head in 1944. Awarded the Iron Cross on April 17th, 1945, was captured in May 1945 by the Soviets and served 5 years in a Soviet prison camp, and eventually went back home to Austria, got married, died in 2004 at the age of 79. So I guess the claim that, I mean, granted that didn't happen all at once. His longest kill confirmed at 1,200 yards, but I guess that's where they got the idea of just having Frederick be in the bell tower to kill 300, I think they said, or 100, however many it was. So that's interesting. I didn't know that before.
I always thought the inspiration for Frederick Zoller, or at least when Quentin Tarantino was explaining it to American interview shows, I thought his inspiration for that was, I wanted him to be the German Audie Adams.
Well, Audie Murphy. Yeah,
Audie Adams is different.
Yeah, in terms of his celebrity, yes, absolutely. He's inspired by Audie Murphy. In terms of being in a lot of cheesy, because there's a reason that despite that Audie Murphy, the most highly decorated soldier of the war, went home to make a lot of propaganda films for a while and became a movie star with that. But there's a reason you don't see those movies replayed on Turner Classic Movies a lot. He's, not a great actor. And in the same vein of what Frederick Zoller's doing, he's going to appear in this really bad, German propaganda film where you're breaking the fourth wall a lot to talk directly to the audience, like, who wants to send a message to Germany? And, that kind of stuff. But yeah, you could tell that he's like the German version of that.
I've never seen Paths of Glory. Have you?
No, but I have a digital copy.
Huh. It's a Kubrick movie. Never seen it. War movie, too. I like war movies. Anyway. Back to the chat. Oh, my. Scrolling. Keep this chat scrolling. Don't lose your place.
I do remember this movie for a Tarantino film. It had a packed theater, which that was not my experience when I went to see Django, or I can't remember if I assume I saw Hateful Eight in theaters. And then Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is admittedly pretty full, but this one was also, I remember there was a lot more buzz around this movie when it came out in August 2009.
Well, but again, like I say, the Oscar bait, but World War II, come on. This is a Tarantino Saving Private Ryan, where the most important scene happens at the end as opposed to the beginning.
Well, I wasn't complaining about it. I was saying that was good.
Oh, no.
I was buying time for you to scroll through the chat and find some comments to throw up on the screen.
Well, we're back, and Captain Finity says, ahoy, ahoy, Captain Finity. Congratulations on your unblockage. Lenny had a great eye for angles and lighting, but her choice of employers not always the wisest. Or is that the Nation's Pride lady?
No, Lenny Riefenstahl, Triumph of the Wills.
Same thing.
Yeah, same kind of idea, yeah.
Jill says in the chat, I think this movie did. Oh, by the way, everyone go subscribe to Antiderivative Jill. It's spelled like this. I think the movie did a great job showing the terror that can be generated from both sides, even the ones you're rooting for. Yeah. And to go back to what you were saying, even if there was just like a 3-second or a 2-second shot, 3-second shot of the guy walking through the corridor to see Hitler and his swastika was exposed, it would have been like, and then other people being like, you've met the bastards.
To Jill's point about the terror generated on both sides, I didn't feel as much of the terror that the bastards were generating because it was so funny and because you just want to see them get their comeuppance. But I wonder if they had instead introduced a different character during the final chapter in the theater. Like you follow somebody from the reception area inside so that you don't know otherwise or who they are. So that way you could follow their terror when the theater burns down. And maybe that would be a way to egg on the terror. Because frankly, seeing Goebbels and Hitler shot to death is hilarious. And
remember when Stiglitz shoved his fist into a guy's head?
Yeah, they did. That was a really fast montage clip show showing all the crazy things he was doing. And it's like I'd have to go back to freeze frame it.
Don't do it.
Okay, I can't even remember that particular shot.
There is a shot where he is shoving his it's like right after he stabs the guy with a pillow over his face. Like he stabs a guy in the face repeatedly and there's a pillow over it. Like I think that is part of the terror that is in the German's mind.
You see, that's the thing I would do also. I would have added, because on the one hand you have the bear juice scene from when it's from the Bastards perspective. But I would have had another scene from the different ambush, but it's from the German perspective.
The German will fear us. The German will talk about us.
Jill says, I always find that when I want something more from a movie, that it's not a shortcoming. It means I want to learn more about the universe, so it's great. Yes, definitely.
I agree.
Perfect example last week when I had nothing else to say about natural born killers. And even though on the one hand it could have used a lot more character development, all that kind of stuff, I didn't care enough about what I'd already seen to want to get any more of that stuff.
Well, and also I don't like complaining about the movie that they didn't make. Like if I didn't get what I wanted, then it wasn't a good movie.
Right.
Like if it didn't connect with me, then I didn't like it. If it's like I wish they had done a 4-hour cut and so many more bastards. And it's like I want it to be a live action G.I. Joe movie directed by Quentin Tarantino. Well, that's not the movie that was presented. So that doesn't make it a bad movie.
Yeah, and that's why I say to a lot of people who complain about, more franchise films when they say, oh, well, none of my theories pay, and it's just them whining about fan theories not paying off. And it's like, well, that's not the filmmaker's job. It's like, sure, you could be disappointed, but I'll still try and judge a film objectively with an open mind, even if it's a movie that makes choices I don't like. It's like, well, by itself, for the decisions that it made, for the story that it's telling, was it good? Sure, I might not like it. Like, I'll always knock a star or two off if I genuinely didn't enjoy the movie. Like, if I don't care, that it's like, yeah, it can still be good, but that doesn't mean I'm going to love it,
Well, like, come on. Does Short Circuit 2 have Steve Guttenberg or Ali Sheedy in it? No. Does that make it a bad movie? No.
I would have to have seen the first one to even know.
You've never seen Short Circuit?
No. I've heard about it, though.
Okay. Different example. Does Richard Dreyfuss not being in Jaws 2 make it a bad movie?
Yes, because that was a bad movie.
Right, but if
I know, yeah.
Richard Dreyfuss was in it, does that make it better?
If the story is different, I just thought it was the same story again.
So you're asking for a different movie. So you're asking for a different movie, and that's when it comes down to in my argument. Yeah, I would like more, but that's, there's a finite amount of time. There's a story and a narrative that the director is trying to convey. There are emotions that are manipulated within you. Like, I don't know. Looking at a movie and saying, I wish they had more of this is like, it's opening a Christmas present, looking at Santa and saying, this isn't what I wanted, in my opinion, but maybe I'm just being selfish.
I do that quite a lot with a lot of movies, even the ones that I like. Like, I seize upon things that I really like. I'm like, oh, I wish they did more of that, but I still like the movie.
I think that Black Panther 2 would be so much better with T'Challa.
I think everybody will agree with that.
Yeah. But does that make Black Panther 2 a bad movie?
No, not well. I don't know yet. I haven't seen it yet.
Neither do I. I'm not going to see it. It doesn't have fucking Chadwick Boseman in it. Andrew Jill says, I think I'm not as mad about the Basterds not playing a larger role because I never saw any of the marketing, so I had no expectations and don't feel the same false advertising. I can get that view. Yeah,
that's right. You hadn't seen the film before.
Yeah, this is new for Jill. Jill has been following along with us, and thank you so much. Pardon me. Phil is drinking pumpkin spice beer. There's a thing that I want to say, but I'm not allowed to say it anymore. Jill says, yeah, but what do we get? Pardon me. Yeah, but what we do get of the Basterds was really cool. It definitely makes me want to see more of them. And it makes sense that this was originally conceived as more of a mini series.
Yeah, I watched an old clip where he was talking about he had so much material and he was thinking of actually doing a whole series on it until he ran into, I think he said it was, I can't remember who he said it was, but that the guy, he says, I haven't left my house in a couple years. I haven't left my house at all. It's like, you haven't made a movie in a while, like a movie that I've really wanted to leave and see. Like, make a movie that I actually want to leave my house to go to the theater to see. And that's when he decided it's got to be a movie instead of, it might have been Guillermo del Toro, I can't remember, but it's got to be a movie instead of a series. And so I can actually look that up right now. But yeah, and because again, I guess from the Basterds, what I really wanted was to see them actually plan their own mission, Dirty Dozen style, beginning, middle, and end, and see them plan it, execute it, and how it goes, and how badly it would probably go. Because I'm trying to picture them. It's like, yeah, I can picture them ambushing Germans and doing, the scalping and the bear juice stuff. But it's like, what if you had to perform like an actual risky, like actual mission? And how would you perform that? Because I assume they've done that plenty of times. Like Cazaldo says, I fought my way through Sicily and Italy to get here. So they've probably had a lot of, missions that they've gone on. And I think that's kind of what I felt I needed from them more. Not necessarily more of the same of Bear just beating people up, because we've seen that. And that was a great scene and we're still talking about it today. I just kind of wanted, like you said, that Dirty Dozen aspect.
Yeah, but again, okay. My two favorite Quentin Tarantino cinema going experiences, which are probably in my top 5 cinema going experiences of all time. First one, watching Inglorious Basterds and realizing that they were going to kill Hitler. And I was like, can you do this in a movie? I don't know if you can. And then also, and it's a bait and switch from what you're going in for, which is a Quentin Tarantino Dirty Dozen movie. And then you get this sprawling Once Upon a Time in Occupied France, which is literally the title card of the first chapter. And it's so much more. I'm glad that I didn't show up to Inglorious Basterds and it was just men on a mission. I'm glad it was more than that. Same thing with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I thought I was showing up for a Marilyn Manson murder. And then I showed up and it was like, wait a second, she's going to live? You can do that? Like, absolutely flabbergasted and floored by what took place on screen. And so I'm glad I was surprised both times. I thought when I walked into Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I thought I was going to get Natural Born Killers.
Yeah.
And I got fucking La La Land with Murder.
Here's something interesting. Apparently Simon Pegg was originally supposed to play the Michael Fassbender role of Archie Hickok.
I heard that.
Scheduling conflicts with Tintin.
Oh yeah. Have you ever seen Tintin?
Yeah, I thought that was quite good.
I just got it on Blu-ray. It looks stellar.
See, I can't find the thing that I read that.
Well, then I'll go back to the chat if you want to keep looking.
But yeah, go back to the chat.
Phil says, I'm going to start using my mouse. You know, I was on a stream earlier and someone was just hitting their mouse willy-nilly against like a block of wood. It was really disconcerting. Black Philip Alvarez says Sandler can get serious if the part requires it. Have you ever seen Uncut Gems?
Yeah.
I haven't seen that, and he apparently takes a dramatic turn. Snubbed for an Oscar, I heard.
Yeah, I think that had more to do with the fact that the movie I don't think it opened on the festival circuit. It just kind of came out at the end of December, and because it was was it an
Amazon movie? It's an Amazon movie, isn't it?
No, it's A24. And
okay.
The nominations were due literally like a week after the movie came out. So I think it was just people not having seen it. Which is why I think Netflix movies get a lot of nominations, because just about everybody has Netflix, so they're able to see it.
Makes sense. You don't have to send out screeners.
You're right.
Captain Finity says, I have never watched a movie with Adam Sandler in it, so I dodged a bullet here. Really?
Yeah.
What's an under-the-radar Adam Sandler movie that everyone has seen? Like, I would say Happy Gilmore.
Now, Under the Radar, is that an under-the-radar film?
No, I was wrong. Correct me. I don't know. Under the radar. Well, Tom Jr. Jackson over on his YouTube channel, the something chat show. You can look it up. It's spelled exactly like that. He just did Mixed Nuts, which is a Christmas movie. Welcome to November, everybody. It's rolling out already. And Adam Sandler's in that. Phil says, y'all are selling Sandler way too short. I think it would have been interesting if he played the part of the Bear Jew. I agree. And Finity says, how tall is he? Adam Sandler? Like 6'1", 6 feet, I think. I would say. That's my assessment. He would have played it the way Tarantino directed. Yes. I mean, Mike Myers is in the movie and not his usual way. He plays it straight. No, Mike Myers is a little cartoony, but I allow it.
Yeah, he said he did some research and was trying to find a unique dialect for it.
Well, yeah. He wasn't playing Austin Powers.
Right.
Jill says you can use movie magic to make someone taller. Exactly. Look at Robert Downey Jr. Black Philip Alvarez says, have you ever seen them in the same room together? Oh, by the way, speaking of two people in this, I don't know who you're referring to, but I did want to just mention that both Chris Christopherson and who was the other guy? Chris Christopherson and well, first things first, Chris Christopherson is alive.
I like how you start these things when you're introducing somebody. This person is alive.
No, but Chris Christopherson is alive. Who was the other guy that I was trying to figure out? Oh, no, not Chris Christopherson. Oh, Tom Skerritt. Tom Skerritt and Chris Christopherson are both alive. So just so you know. Hey, Buckaroo Brothers Productions, Gant Bright, love and support you guys. Thank you so much for being here. And hey, Kat from Buckaroo. Yeah. Do you know the Buckaroo Brothers?
I don't think so.
Well, they are fans.
Oh, wait, Gant. Oh, yes. I didn't realize he had a channel. Nice to see it.
Ahoy. Phil says 9 bullets for me as well. Fine. You guys can crap the bed on your 9 bullets. I'm going to sit in my diamond 10 bullet bed. Ben says, I feel like Chris Gore, where I say goodbye, but then I have to make another point and then another point. Sorry, guys. No, thank you.
Don't apologize. It's fun.
Absolutely. Come on. How would we have filled those 18 minutes? Jill says 10 out of 10. I found the Basterds and Shoshana's subplots melted together beautifully in a satisfying outcome. Hans stole any scene he was in with his well-mannered menace. Agreed. Really love the podcast and what you guys do. Well, Buckaroo Brothers, thank you for, you know what? I apologize if this is the first time I've seen you. Thank you. If I've seen you before, please be aware of the fact I drink. Black Phillip says, I mute myself when I pass gas. Good for you.
And that was a comment you felt the need to read on air?
Well, I'm kind of going through all of them. It seems courteous.
Keep talking film. Oh, we will always keep talking film. We have a whole Bond series, Martinis, Gadgets, and Guns, and we have the rest of this series, Bullets, Blades, and Babes. And we will be diving into Robert Rodriguez's El Mariachi trilogy next week.
All 3 fucking movies.
Yeah, why not?
Because well, you know what? I picked the entire Tarantino roster.
Well,
and you said yes, and you didn't want to do it.
I
you didn't want to do it. No, come on. That was a pregnant pause.
I was trying to remember. I don't remember saying I like Tarantino. I don't know why I would have said no to doing. I thought it was originally my idea. Maybe not.
No, Tarantino was not your idea. Tarantino was my idea, and I kept pushing for it and pushing for it.
I came up with the idea that we could potentially do a whole director's filmography series, and then you're the one who suggested Tarantino.
Yes.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That sounds like me. And you were like, really? That's the one you want to go with?
Well, it's kind of like when we were talking about whether we would cover Robert Rodriguez. I said there's a few films of his I would cover, like Planet Terror.
We did.
Which we did because it was part of Grindhouse. The Mariachi trilogy, which I feel because the second one is the bigger budget remake of the first, then they just kind of roll together anyway. And then the third, Once Upon a Time in Mexico. And after that, the only real Robert Rodriguez films I liked were probably
Spy Kids 2.
No, his Sin City movies. Right. I've not watched his kids movies because they seem. I remember the marketing for Spy Kids was huge, and it just seemed like it was I had already grown out of that. I was like 15, I think, when the first one came out, 14, 15 or something. It's like I just had no interest in that. It's like I was a fan of James Bond since I was 8 years old. I don't need to see little kids doing that, you know.
Well, and you should tune in 2 Saturdays when Kat and I review Agent Cody Banks. Moving on. But anyway, so next week we're going to do the El Mariachi trilogy, the Turtle trilogy, I suppose. Jill offers the link up to subscribe to Cinema Gulp. We thank you. We are not sponsored. Sheath wallets. Phil says my 3rd favorite QT film as well. Yeah, great. Super jazzed. And Carol is here. Hi, just Carol. You know why it's just Carol? I don't know either. Buckaroo says, kudos to you all. You do an awesome job. Thank you so much, Buckaroo Brothers. You can, what's your favorite Quentin Tarantino movie? Buckaroo Brothers, anyone in the chat, drop it in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, super chat, put the stickers. There's a thank you. Jazz hands.
My favorite is The Hateful Eight, though I prefer the Netflix version, which has not been put out as a single movie. It's presented as episodes, which doesn't really work very well because it clearly wasn't designed to be broken up like episodes. But yeah, that's my favorite.
Well, mine is I have 2.
Okay.
But one doesn't count, so it works.
Mm-hmm.
My number one with a bullet is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It fills my heart with joy. And my number two is Dusk Till Dawn.
That's right. That was another Rodriguez film we reviewed. My second favorite might be Django Unchained, because even though I thought the third act was a little lacking, I still find on the whole it's a nice breeze of a view. Whereas this movie, Inglorious Basterds, almost feels a bit like almost like a mini series in and of itself, because it is broken down into chapters, each with their own beginning, middle, and end. And even though it does meld together at the end, each scene is built on this rising tension of what's going to happen. And once you know that, it's like the writing's still good, but it still feels like I'm watching individual webisodes, if you will, as opposed to like a whole movie. Whereas Django, I feel that rolls into it a bit better. So Hateful Eight, Django Unchained, and third, I would probably put either Pulp Fiction or Reservoir Dogs. I remember I liked Pulp Fiction a lot more than I used to when I watched it again, especially after our conversation.
Yeah, and Pulp Fiction's in my top 5. I would say my top 3 are Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Dusk Till Dawn, Inglorious Basterds, Pulp Fiction. No, wait. Oh, and then...
Well, Dusk Till Dawn isn't a Tarantino film per se.
Everything I just said, but instead of going that way, we'll go this way, and then Jackie Brown. I think it would be, yeah. And yeah, no, I'm gonna count Dusk Till Dawn.
Okay.
Just because I think the influence is too heavy to ignore. Black Phillip says, does that make me the myth? The answer, yes. Carol says, you can't just give yourself a nickname. That's not how nicknames work. Buckaroo says, it makes you the legend, LOL. Phil says, sure you can. How do I think I got my YouTube name? Carol fires back. Top political debate in the chat this evening. That's not your handle. Or that's your handle, not your nickname. And then Phil responds, okay then, I'm the man. Is that better? No. Jill continues. The came up from a mutual interaction on Captain's show where we described each other. So it was a natural kind of thing. It didn't just come out of nowhere. Carol says 3:45 amateur, I suppose. And even though this took place ages ago, and Phil said this probably about 15 minutes ago, Black Philip Alvarez says, I don't want to talk about it anymore.
I love, go back to Jill's last comment real quick.
Jill,
3:45 amateurish.
No, that's Carol. That was Carol.
Carol. That's a reference to when I mentioned that the guy that inspired Frederick Zoller had 345 kills.
Oh, nice.
Just calling him an amateur. That's nice.
Try harder, Homer. Get good. Captain Finney says Black Phillip hasn't actually got a nickname, an error that will be rectified immediately. Cinema Gulp says, you guys are the best. Have a good evening. You as well, sir, and thank you for providing for some of our joy. Jill says, right. It will be, but this isn't the right venue for it. Your channel is, oh my God. Looks like the animals are fighting. Sorry, Jill. Oh, I didn't mean to call you an animal.
Yes, I heard great things about Paths of Glory, Maurice, yes.
I think I have a copy of it, but I've never sat down to watch it.
I have a digital copy.
You do, you mentioned.
Oh, I did. I don't remember.
Okay, so there's a whole bunch of stuff going on back and forth. They're playing tennis. Captain Finity says, the absence of Miss Sheedy in the sequel is keenly felt and certainly missed. I agree. Ali Sheedy not being in Short Circuit 2 is a crime. And also, you know what? The worst part is that I'm pretty sure Ali Sheedy is in Short Circuit 2. I think that she records an audio greeting at the beginning of the film saying, I hope you enjoy New York City, because the first film took place in Seattle. But in actual fact, the entire movie of Short Circuit 2 takes place in Toronto.
Mm.
You can see places.
Jill says you don't need to see the first movie to understand the second, and that this is one case where the sequel blows the original out of the water. Ooh.
You're crazy, lady. You think Short Circuit 2 is better than Short Circuit 1? Welcome to our Quentin Tarantino discussion podcast.
But she likes both.
She does. Emma Brock, hi Emma, says, why is Eli Roth called the Bear Jew? He's not that hairy and not that tall. Is it because he's vicious? I do.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Also, he is vicious and circumcised.
I like the part where they cut the bit where back home he's getting his other Jewish people in the neighborhood to carve the names of their friends and loved ones who've likely been murdered by the Nazis into the bat. So that way when he goes there, he's literally beating them to death with the people they've killed.
I don't even know if Emma's still here, but thank you for stopping by, Emma. We appreciate it.
Oh, it does remind me of something else. Wojciech, the bear that joined the Polish military in World War II.
Oh, right. Yes.
Doing friendlier things like carrying weapons and rockets around.
Also, maybe. Oh, wow.
Yeah, Jill says maybe because baseball teams often have an animal mascot. Yeah, they do.
I never thought about that.
And the mascot for the Basterds is the bear. Like Dark Star with the beach ball alien is the mascot for the ship. Cinema Gulp says the milk in the opening scene. Man, that milk looked creamy.
Captain Finity says Simon Pegg, Spaced is the best sitcom ever. Yes. Oh, Phil, considering this is the last Tarantino stream, we have to tell this story. When we were first negotiating what Quentin Tarantino movies to watch, it became a coin toss and more of a submission on my part. But I said, I want to watch Destiny Turns on the Radio and Little Nicky. And Kat was like, you get one or the other. So I chose Destiny Turns on the Radio. And then, what was it? How long was it after we made that decision, Kat? That you actually found yourself watching Little Nicky and enjoying it?
Let me check. I know exactly how I could find out because I logged it on my Letterboxd diary.
You sent me a message saying, you know what, I just saw it and it's better than I thought it would be.
No, I said, I'm watching Little Nicky right now. I blame Scott.
But then you sent me a message saying, you know what, it wasn't that bad.
Let's see. That it wasn't as bad as I remembered it being, but it's still a bad script.
Okay.
But it was funny. Let's see. I did log this film. I gave it 3. I'm surprised I gave it that high of a rating. I watched it on August 22nd, and we started this series in, I think, June. Late June. So we were still talking about it because at the time, Little Nicky would have been our Halloween stream because at that time we were still on schedule to finish it on time, and then it just didn't end up coming down that way. And
You're welcome.
That's how much I argued against it because of the movie itself, such as Quentin Tarantino has a recurring cameo joke as the preacher who's freaking out about the Armageddon and the devil walks among us and all of that. And I'm like, okay, the fact that it's Tarantino is kind of funny and how random it is. But that's really the only Tarantino aspect of it. He didn't write the script. He didn't polish the script. He didn't direct it or shadow direct or anything like that.
Well, but that's why it was on a flip-flop with Destiny Turns on the Radio, because all he did in Destiny Turns on the Radio is act, if that's what you call it.
Yeah, but I guess we picked that one because
there was more screen time.
Yeah, he had more screen time, and it was something that less people would be familiar with. So we figured, let's shine a light on a different movie. Yeah, and I was surprised that movie had some highlights. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
I think I rented it on YouTube. I couldn't find a physical copy. I don't know. Maybe I'll buy it. I don't know. Oh, Kat, Have you ever seen Westworld?
The movie?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I'm going to be watching it for a show on Jill's channel on Friday. And you know what I got?
Hmm.
I got the sequel that even less people have seen, Future World.
Oh, you got both.
No. I had Westworld from like ages ago, but
Okay.
Future World was like $10. So I bought a beta and a beta machine and the AV cable to HDMI, and I plugged it in, and it looks great. It's just top tier quality. Black Phillip says, also, Sandler isn't in this movie. LOL, right. Infinity remains a happy Sandler virgin. You know what, Jill? If you want to clip anything that we say, please feel free. A lot of it is out of context. You know what? I think we've thrown around Nazi, Jew, German, Hitler, like all over this stream.
Yeah.
I don't think I turned on the monetization just because we had to jump into this pool so quickly. But is there even a point?
Well, I know that because of certain rules about what constitutes art and what doesn't, the American version of the film had the swastika logo hanging off the metal hanging off the title, and the international versions do not, because they're not allowed to do that. And subsequently, I got my steelbook, and it does not have it on there as well either, but it is on my American 2-disc DVD special edition from 2009. But this, as I understand it, is also an American edition steelbook, but for some reason it doesn't have the swastika on it.
Hang on, I'm gonna go grab my Blu-ray and find out if I have a swastika on it. Because up until now, I wasn't even worried about things that I had with swastikas on them. But now I have to find out if I own something with a swastika on it.
I own a couple. Okay, no, it's on my steelbook on the cover, but I believe it was originally supposed to be on the spine as well, and it's not. But it is. So here's, I guess I'll just show it. Here's the cover. You got Aldo Rain standing on a pile of dead Nazis, and you see up close here all the all the bodies, and you see some of the Nazi insignia there. And then there's Aldo, but you see the O is replaced by the metal, and this is the American steelbook, so the swastika is there. You also see all the bodies, and the swastika is there. However, I've seen versions of this in other releases where on the spine the O was also replaced with it, but it's not here. See, Scotty's is because it's part of North America, including Canada, so that's approved. But overseas, it is not.
I think I have le version français.
Okay. Maybe. Okay. So yeah, but certain sections don't allow it. And then here was on the back, IB.
Oh, with the strikeout.
Yes. But that was yeah. So that's the version I have. It's been a long time since I've watched whatever the bonus features were.
A lot of Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah. And I wish I knew which statement Jill was talking about specifically, because it was a long time ago, I'm sure.
Where was I? There we are. Captain Infinity says, Inglorious Basterds is indeed a cinematic tour de force. I award this movie a 10.5 out of 10. High fives all around. Jill is surprised, shocked, mortified, as am I. I watched Desperado already. I didn't know this was a trilogy. Kat, can you tell Jill about the trilogy?
I can do more than just tell her about it. I believe I have. There it is.
This is the part of the show where it's a preview for next week. So, welcome.
Yeah.
Once Upon a Time in Mexico. What does it say? The Mexico trilogy.
We have El Mariachi, Desperado, and Once Upon a Time in Mexico. Yes, these are DVDs. They are old.
That's cool. Don't be a snob.
I'm not.
Right. Well, you
El
are.
Mariachi. Let's see, Desperado. I have this on Blu-ray Steelbook now, and I'll be watching the Steelbook version.
Nice.
The Blu-ray version. I've seen the Blu-ray version of all three in a trilogy box or a trilogy regular case at Once Upon a Time in Mexico at Best Buy, and I didn't opt to pick it up at the time because I was holding out for maybe a 4K of the second two, but I don't think they will. So maybe next time I'm there, I'll pick it up. But yeah, I love this poster too. This is just great. Antonio Banderas. Yeah. So the story behind El Mariachi is also amazing as well. It's the book that Rodriguez wrote, Rebel Without a Crew.
All right. Save it for next week.
I will. But if you have an opportunity to read the book before then, I advise that you read it. It's called Rebel Without a Crew: How a guy with somebody with $7,000 became a Hollywood player.
Yeah. Black Phillip says, I enjoy Rodriguez as well. I call it the Mariachi trilogy. I would call it the Mariachi.
I thought it was odd that they put that whoever the marketed this called it the Mexico trilogy as opposed to the Mariachi trilogy.
Phil goes on to say, I quite enjoyed Alita Battle Angel, and Christoph Waltz is in it too. That's true. And yeah, for sure. Buckaroo brother, I want to say Buckaroo Banzai every time, says Machete was cool. I enjoyed Machete. I never saw Machete Kills.
I didn't. I really wanted to like Machete because it just seemed like something, yes, let's give Danny Trejo his lead finally. And they did. And I felt that the appeal didn't last for the whole movie as much as I would have liked.
Right. Yeah. You know when people say this works as a Saturday Night Live skit and not necessarily as a movie? Yeah. Like Machete, I think, worked as a fake trailer.
Yeah. So case in point, I've seen the feature film version of the fake trailer, Hobo with a Shotgun, with Rutger Hauer, and it also was pretty schlocky and not very good. It's like because that trailer is just so funny, the entire concept, but then when you watch that for like the solid hour and a half or however long it is, it just doesn't have that appeal. It feels like a really cheap old Grindhouse movie, which I guess is kind of the point because it is, Grindhouse, but I just didn't think it worked very well.
Well, as long as we're on the subject of Grindhouse and sort of pastiche, if you will, I got another thing. Where are you? Where'd you go? There you are. If you have not seen The Love Witch, this is the best movie from 1969/1971 that has ever been made in 2016. The cinematography is gorgeous. So are the people. The performance is incredible, and I highly recommend it. Anyway, they are not sponsoring this video. Who else do we have? So, Buckaroo says, Pulp Fiction. I assume that's number one. And I assume Love Reservoir Dogs as 2. And Buckaroo, your top 3 is rounded out by Once Upon a Time.
Yeah, and the Reservoir Dogs 4K is coming out next week. As well as a Steelbook, which I, of course, pre-ordered.
Well, okay, so I ordered a special edition of Event Horizon on Blu-ray. Yep. But it says on the Blu-ray that they did a 4K transfer. How does that work?
So you do a 4K transfer, and because the studio is either too cheap to put the 4K disc out, or whatever it is, which is kind of odd. I wouldn't think it would be that difficult to manufacture the disc after you've already made, because if you're going to make a disc anyway, I guess they would, whatever. I don't know the logic behind it. But what they do is that downgrading a 4K restoration to a 1080p stream, cutting it in half, is actually better than doing an HD. Most times it's better than doing a simple HD transfer of a 480 older cut, and the movie will look better. That's kind of what Criterion did all the time before they finally got into the 4K market. They would do 4K scans of the negatives, and then they'd print it on Blu-ray. But sometimes it could be different. Like I heard that different things about newer 4K transfers of movies. I've heard that a lot of people didn't like the 4K of Inglorious Basterds. They preferred the Blu-ray. And then, or recently, or like for instance, I got the Skywalker Saga box set up there, and the 4K of Attack of the Clones is horrible because those effects were so outdated anyway that it just looks really bad when they try and put the 4K treatment on it.
Oh.
But the Blu-ray downgraded from 4K looks a bit better, but I still think the best looking version of that movie might be the original Blu-ray they put out for it in 2011. So it kind of varies. But most times
I have that around here somewhere, but it's full screen, so I kind of want to use it as a coaster.
Yeah, I don't like I didn't like full screens either. I always love widescreen.
No, I know. I bought it in bulk. I didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, no, but it's interesting. So you're saying that there is a benefit to having the 4K transfer to a Blu-ray.
Yeah, because
Cool.
the 4K by definition is going to be sharper than rather than trying to do a great HD transfer from a really shoddy old print or whatever. You're doing it off a fresh, brand new, restored 4K cut of it. So
I just noticed this is the first time in a while that you and I have both worn hats. Anyway, Phil says, hard to rank his films because they're all so good, especially Destiny Turns on the Radio. Captain Infinity says, Hateful Eight, of course you do. And as well as the four above, and I'm sure as well as the four below, my captain. Tarantino is a great writer. Sorry I missed him in SF. Well, do you want to address the Star Trek thing?
Well, SF, if he's referring, I believe, to San Francisco. He's told me quite a few stories, good ones, of when he went to a convention down there and was invited into the hotel behind the scenes and met some pretty cool people.
I was referring to science fiction. I didn't know there was an incident in San Francisco.
Yeah, I actually know him not just from YouTube. I've met him in person first a few times over the past year and a half, and we went to a couple movies recently. Went out to dinner, and yeah, he's great.
So if someone boils your rabbit and we find out that you're killed with a claw hammer, should we call Buckaroo Brothers?
I don't think you would know anything about that if that happened.
I would read the newspapers, Catherine. I care about your continued existence. I don't mean I'm making fun, Buckaroo Brothers. I apologize. Tim's talk is here. Ahoy, my favorite Tim. It's good to see you. I'm sorry that we're like at least an hour and a half behind in the chat. Jill says, number 1, Inglorious Basterds. 2, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. 3, Pulp Fiction. 4, The Dogs. Still haven't seen Jackie Brown or True Romance. Oh, Jill, we got to do like a Cosmo, whatever it is. We got to do a watch party on.
I just got the True Romance Steelbook as well.
So good, so long though. What is it, like 2 hours and 40?
What, True Romance?
Yeah.
No, it's not that long.
It's like 2 hours and 20.
Something like that. But yeah, I got the Arrow Steelbook here. Just came in the mail a few weeks ago.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
It is, isn't it? Yeah, Arrow, and it's region free because it's Arrow, which is nice. Not all of theirs are region free, but this one is.
Oh, did I tell you this thing I was doing?
No.
Okay, so I have this thing that I'm doing now that we've completely decided to disregard anything. We are staying relatively on track with Tarantino movies, but I think we've expanded to just cinema in general, which is what I think Quentin Tarantino would have wanted. But
he's not dead, you know.
I've never met him. So
nice.
I opened one of these today, and I felt like I was opening a Bible.
Yeah.
Like the paper stock and quality? It was incredible. I wish I were a fan of this movie. So,
have you seen it yet?
No, well, I saw them in theaters, but I haven't seen the extended editions. And
The extended editions are better.
That's what I've heard. And
that's the only ones I watch. I only ever saw the theatrical cuts, the shorter ones, in theaters, and then after that, it was just the extended.
So in December, on Sundays, over on Anti-Derivative Jill's channel, we're going to be talking with Tiger Stripes about the original trilogy, I suppose, is what you refer to it nowadays.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing to even say that. I'm sort of a I'm a little bit of a Randall Graves when it comes to the Lord of the Rings, and so I'm busting a cherry. Buckaroo says Kubrick had brilliant films. I'd be interested to find out what your favorite Kubrick film is. I hear something. I don't know what it says. Apropos of nothing, I looked up and saw a cat. But I don't own a cat. Trippy. Thanks for playing. It's pronounced Voitek. Voitek? No, it's Voight-Kampf. Phil appreciates Jill's ranking. Jill says yes. And thank you. Oh, what is Destiny? Have you heard of this movie, Destiny?
Destiny turns on the radio.
You saw that in a theater, Buckaroo? Did they give you your money back? Jack Stafford is here. Thank you so much for being here, Jack. I hope you still are. Jill, that's a movie. I like Little Nicky. It's goofy fun. So many movies that you have not seen. Short Circuit. Actually, I think you saw Short Circuit. George Circuit. But not True Romance. Scotty, have you seen, says Just Carol. No, you haven't. You're a disappointment, Scotty. Thanks, Mom. Oh my God. You're like a villain from The Shining. Westworld with Yul Brynner scared the sheet out of me when I was a kid. Really? I've seen it like twice, and I don't think it's scary.
Well, he specifies as a kid.
Okay, that's fine. Sure. You know, there's an episode of The Muppet Show where Vincent Price shows up and Kermit the Frog gets teeth. Terrified me as a kid. Anyway, Captain Finney says Scotty has never seen The Princess Bride, not from cover to cover. Inexcusable.
Inconceivable.
And inconceivable.
I take it you've seen that scene, though.
Of course. Oh, well, and that's the thing. When I say I haven't seen it cover to cover, I check out when the Sicilian leaves. Like at that point, it's not like a romping adventure. It turns into a fairy tale. And I don't know if I've told you. Not a big fan. Let's see. Jack Stafford says, do I own anything with a swastika? Without a swastika on it? That's right. Well, no, but do you? Do you have anything with a swastika on it? Well, I've proven that I do.
He asked without. He said, do I own anything without?
I think it's converse hyperbole. I think he's being. He doesn't like sign his name in the inside cover of every book and then just put an adorable little swastika with a heart.
Yeah. Well, I have that movie which has the swastika on the cover. I have that.
How many other things do you have with swastikas on them? I have 7 swastika tattoos.
You do not.
Well, they're one over the other, so it's just really thick. Jill sent a super chat, and I don't know why, but she says, your monetization is on. This is for a bet you won. I thought Star Trek the Animated Series didn't have the crew as babies in the Enterprise. They do. Now you broke even. That reminds me, I do attend, and I'm allowed to participate on a show every Monday night over at Pop Culture Curators channel. And we talk about Star Trek the Animated Series. And it's fun for us and anyone who watches and wants to see janky animation with interesting Star Trek. Jack Stafford says, laugh out loud, but seriously, I collect movies, history, books, and coins. Currency. Who knows how many I have in my house? Yeah, no, that's fair enough. You know what? And it was funny. I was talking to my friend Tom Jr. Jackson from the something chat show over on YouTube. You can check it out. And I was like, oh, my dad loves Nazis. You walk in, you can't go into a room without seeing a swastika. My dad's just a big history buff, a military history buff. And you know how you sell books? Swastikas.
I myself am a lot more intrigued by the Pacific War conflict in that war.
I find it so depressing. It's very depressing.
Yeah. Just Carol says, I collect rocks and dirt. It's what I can afford.
I collect spores, mold, and fungus. Oh, what's this say? Captain Infinity, checking. Mine is definitely international and definitely has the swastika. Oh, I'm assuming you're referring to your print of the Inglorious Basterds. I hope it's not necessarily a flag that you got.
Fun fact, my neighbor
hang on a second. Disavow. Captain Infinity is many things, but he is not a Nazi.
Fun fact, my neighbor, since deceased, was in a soldier in World War II, and he stole a swastika Nazi flag from one of the Reich administration buildings in Munich in April 1945, and he still had it folded up in his closet all the way up through 2015, 2016, whenever he died.
What did they do with it?
He just kept it in the box. He just stole it as a souvenir, because back then you could do that.
Well, but that's also capture the flag.
Exactly. Phil says...
No, wait. Have you ever seen the movie The Monster Squad?
No.
Oh, cat. You have to get the 4K Blu-ray. It's coming out. Shout Factory's doing it. But there's a guy in it who is a survivor of the concentration camps.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got like the tattoo. You know how they used to tattoo?
Yeah.
And what are they? The Monster Squad, who are all kids in school, and they're like, don't go near creepy German guy. But when they go to creepy German guy, they find out that he knows all about Dracula and the Mummy and the Wolfman and the creature from the Black Lagoon and Frankenstein. And it's like, how do you know all this stuff? And he's like, he sort of plays it off to the kids. And he's like, I'm old. And then as the kids walk away, he looks at his hand and sort of, I don't want to say admires, but reflects upon his concentration camp tattoo and says, I know about monsters. And it's a really, I don't know, it builds the reality of the situation. There was a time when you could just be angry at Nazis. Nowadays, people tend to coddle them. Phil says
he needs to rewatch all three, but to him, Once Upon a Time in Mexico is just so silly. You know, I can't remember much about it. I remember that Willem Dafoe and Johnny Depp are in it. I remember what happens to the Johnny Depp character at the end.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I don't remember the bulk of what the story is actually about.
Well, but that's because the ending is so ridiculous. It's so, like, I think Once Upon a Time in Mexico, and you know what? We'll talk about it next week.
Yeah.
Machete Kills was cool. I didn't see it. Oh, right, and Mel Gibson was in that.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Buckaroo. I feel like I've said too much about swastikas. Cat, are we still on the? Are we live?
Yes.
Oh no! What did Jack Stafford say? At Carol, I collect rocks too, quartz and fossils, but also just weird ones from places like Roswell and other places I visit. I took a rock from Stonehenge. It was a bitch to get it away. Buckaroo says, have to see The Love Witch. If you're a fan of attractive people and female dominance and, I don't know, soft focus, bright colors, nudity, music, eerie and yet comforting, blood but no gore, The Love Witch, I love it. I fell in love. I've watched it twice. I still haven't watched the audio commentary.
Carol says, people send me or bring me back rocks when they go on vacations, mostly from places I'll never get to, and I pick up rocks and such when I go to new places. I did the same thing for quite a long time, actually. I still have, it's a large-sized jumbo cup themed from Lost World, the Jurassic Park sequel, way a long time ago, not 25 years ago. And I filled that with rocks of different parks and places I'd been to, mostly throughout the Western United States. When we used to go camping everywhere, because we used to have one of those crank-up tent trailers that you tow behind your car. And I still have it, I think, in my closet somewhere.
So when you say people give you rocks, do you mean that whenever you go somewhere, people will throw rocks at you and you think that they're presents?
Come on, we need to catch up or this is ever going to end.
Part of the fun is the show, lady.
I understand that. Phil says, Shout Factory did the collector's edition of Event Horizon. Then the studio released the 4K, but some prefer the Shout Factory version. And I take it that means Scott is on his way.
No, I'm here.
He's got it. That's the collector's edition. I believe have I just have like a regular Blu-ray version that has a lot of bonus features on it, but it's not one of the fancy ones.
See, I can't do this. I can't show it off without showing this off because obviously they did new artwork.
Ah.
The old artwork. She is here. So I could flip it around.
I'll grab mine because mine actually has different artwork from both of those. It's there we go. This is the one I have.
Oh, mine's better.
Yeah, yours is a lot better. And then this is the back.
Sorry.
It's got a commentary and 5 documentaries on it.
Yeah, I got 5.
The documentary. Yeah, I got all sorts of stuff on here. So even though this doesn't look like it has the bells and whistles, it actually has some. Which I got to say, this is probably the most plain-looking Blu-ray versus the amount of features on it, which is pretty cool.
No, it is really cool, and I'm so happy I have this. If you want to hear my full thoughts on Event Horizon, I would say go over to Jill's channel because we did a thing 2 Fridays ago.
That's a movie I feel has a great concept, but not great execution. I thought it gets a bit schlocky.
Yeah.
But
I bring it all up. I'll send you the video.
Yeah.
But it's 3 hours long. But no, we do go in depth about all of the ridiculousness and the terror and the schlock and whether or not it's effective. And it is through the prism of a woman who went through the movie and took stills and freeze frames from it. And as she did so, she actually had to consider a frame of Event Horizon. And she looked into her own soul. She said, what am I doing with my life? Everything is fucked. That's what Event Horizon does. Whether you do it at full speed or frame by frame, you just look at it and be like, I don't even know if there's a point anymore.
I first saw that film when I was 9 years old.
What the hell? Where were your parents?
They rented it.
Fair enough. It sounds like you.
Well, no, I was the one who wanted to rent it. They could give a shit about a movie like that, but they let me rent it.
Event Horizon, it must be about weather. Where are we in the chat? I'm gonna skip a little bit because everyone's being like really enjoying. I'm always gonna come back to Jill. Jill says I enjoyed Machete. But I have a feeling that the sequel probably is unnecessary. Well, Machete was unnecessary. Even though I haven't seen it. The first movie needed some better dialogue / plot. Well, and that's why I wasn't very enthusiastic about going into the entire filmography of Robert Rodriguez.
Yeah, I wasn't going to do that either.
I think he has a style that is cinematographically interesting. I think he knows how to pace, but I don't think he's a good writer by any stretch.
Yeah. You could definitely tell the difference when From Dusk Till Dawn goes from being Tarantino to being Rodriguez.
I know this is directed at Jack Stafford, but I like this. This is going to be my new ringtone. Carol says, "It doesn't have to mean anything to anyone else as long as it means something to you, Jack." Which I think should apply to everyone. I'm a She-Hulk fan, and I'm going to use this quote. I'm copying it. I'm pasting it. I'm putting it in my notebook. Doesn't matter. I don't care if it's good. I like it.
Yep.
Buckaroo says, at a $4 movie theater, too. I'm sure that's in relation to something.
To Destiny Turns On the Radio. He said he saw it in the theater.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that's one of those probably second run theaters, probably. Kind of like a dollar theater or something.
And Carol continues to pick Dillard. That's not my problem. Buckaroo says, no problem, buddy. See? Nice. Yeah, no problem. Thank you, Joan Jett. And hello to Rebellious Pastry. Oh, Dr. Strangelove. How do you feel about Dr. Strangelove? You seen it?
Yeah, it's really funny.
You know, when your co-host is yawning, it's about time to go.
Well, we got to get through the comments.
No, I'm scrolling through. I'm being rather indiscriminate with my scrolling. I think we're done.
This is going to be a long video because with the first video, that'll be about 2 hours, 56 minutes so far.
You know what? We can take next week off. I don't even think I'm going to release it. Because
Carol just said, yes, Scotty, people throw rocks at me whenever I go somewhere. It's a joy to go out. Oh, God, that's funny. That's good.
Can I hang out with you? Sounds fun. Free rocks, everybody.
Yeah, this is going to be epic because it's going to be the longest episode we've done ever. Let's see. Jack Stafford says he agrees with Fanta. The Event Horizon concept and production value is amazing, but something just didn't gel.
Who's Fanta?
I think he's talking about me.
I think so. Are you Fanta?
I guess, because that's what I said, the concept and all that. But I don't really know where he got that name from.
And my mind is blown because watching Event Horizon at 9 beats me watching Killer Clowns from Outer Space at the age of 4.
Oh God, I remember seeing that movie maybe once, probably.
Are there a lot of murders?
What?
Are there a lot of murders
in Killer Clowns from Outer Space?
Yes.
I think so. From what I can remember, it was a very weird movie.
You don't say.
Yeah. I remember I was eating pizza while I was watching it, and for some reason I was grossed out from watching it and said, I can't eat this pizza while I'm watching this. I didn't eat pizza for a while after that. I don't know why.
Captain Infinity says, I saw Alien aged 9, and look how good I turned out. Yes.
I also saw Alien, I believe, when I was around 9 or maybe 10 on that one.
Me too.
No, I know I had to have been maybe 10 or 11 because we had already moved into this place. Yeah.
I think the first scary movie that I actually saw was Poltergeist.
I only saw that for the first time 5 years ago. I didn't like it.
Yeah, and it's not good.
Yeah, it's not really scary. It's like, okay. I don't get what I mean. It's like, I've seen all the parodies of it, but that movie just doesn't really do anything for me.
I was 8 at a church group, so I watched it in a church, and they were like, I don't know, some youth pastor thought it would be a good idea. But it was because I watched it in a church, and there was Craig T. Nelson clawing off his own skin. I was like, I was very upset. Okay, so that's it for the chat. I think we're done, except for Phil, who wants to know something about Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Event Horizon and Killer Clowns in the same sentence? Who'd have thunk it? Agreed. You know what? That's just the kind of entertainment that you get here around at the Phantasmagorium. Raspy voice, late attendance, and
it
killer.
feels appropriate because Phantasma and Gorium are like different types of word. Like like it's gonna be fantastic, and then it goes Phantasmagorium. So,
Oh yeah,
like,
we're allowed horror.
Like as Steve said, Mr. Megorium's wonder. What the fuck was that called? I forgot what it was called. Mr. Megorium's Wonder Emporium or something like that. I can't remember, but that's where he kind of got the idea for coming up with the name.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Megorium's Wonder Emporium. I think that's what it was called. So yes, this is Phantasmagorium, where you get mashups of things like Killer Clowns from Outer Space and Event Horizon.
You know what? If it was up to me, we would have called it the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus.
That was a great movie too. Yes, I do have that on Blu-ray.
Well, it's a Gilliam movie. I don't know who directed the Phantasmagorium of Mr. Megorium. But no, there was no argument. I was always in favor of the Phantasmagorium. Because it reminds me of a late 90s Sierra movie or Sierra video game that was called Phantasmagoria. And it was about this lovely, busty young wife who was terrorized by her demonically possessed photographer husband.
The title also reminds me of Fangoria, the magazine, which covered the type of stuff we like to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, if you're a fan of the title, don't forget to like and subscribe. Next week, we are going to be talking about the Mexico trilogy, otherwise known as the Mariachi trilogy, otherwise known as the 3 Robert Rodriguez movies that we're going to be covering next week. Thanks for the homework, Kat. And then after that, what is the plan for the week after that?
Well, I'm not sure if it's going to be the week after that or 2 weeks after, because I might have company because of American holidays. But
oh, right, you and your turkey. We already did that.
Maybe. It will be our new show we're going to debut. Let's see if you can guess it. Capes, Cowls, and Crusaders.
Oh, my God. You know what? I think I have a thing. Is there a thing? There is. Can I play the thing?
Yeah.
All right. Let's see what's here. That's the background. Where's the video? I know there's a video. Oh, there might not be a video yet. Oh, no. No video yet. No, we don't have the intro. We have the background, though.
Yes. And we'll probably have the title and all that and the banner. And
oh, no, we have the banner. Oh, no, we have that. Where is it? Oh, shut up, Snoopy. I'll be with you in a second. There we are.
Nice. Yes, that's going to be a fun series.
But we are going to have the intro. So I guess like 2 or 3 weeks or something like that. And then it's going to be Batman.
And that being said, if we can go back to the other banner real quick, another background.
Which one?
The bullets background and banner.
Bullet. Click the yellow one.
Yeah, the yellow one.
Okay. Sorry, we're playing with all the buttons today. This hasn't exactly been the most professional of streams, has it?
No, but that being said, we have reached the about the. Well, is the Rodriguez thing going to count as a BB&B show? I think it should.
I think it should.
Yeah, and maybe if we want to, the week after before that, we can maybe cover the Sin City movies. I think that kind of fits in a bit, maybe.
Well, you know my only criteria.
It's a good bridge because it's not only it's still part of the ending of Bullets, Blades, and Babes because it's Tarantino to Rodriguez with a Tarantino influence, and it's Frank Miller who wrote comics and Batman comics. So that would be a perfect, rollover bridge to the Batman series.
That would be, that would be good. But my only criteria in terms of the transition, our Christmas episode, it has to be Batman Returns.
Well, of course it's going to be Batman Returns. What else would it be?
Exactly. So as long as we parse it out that way, then I'm good.
Yeah.
Carol says, "Oh, cowls. I rather cows. I can put on some weight." Phil says capes, cowls, and bat nipples.
None of those.
Oh, right. Also, I did want to ask you, is it cool if we watch one of the two 1940s serials, but not the racist Asian one?
If we could find, I don't know how many were there?
3 on YouTube.
Okay, how many were there?
It's like a 2.5 hour movie.
You say there's a racist Asian one. So aside from that, how many others are there?
Another one.
So there's 2.
Yes.
I'll watch both of them anyway.
I don't want to watch the racist Asian one.
You don't have to watch that one. I'll watch that one anyway, and I'll give my 2 cents on how bad it is. But whatever. I don't even know. In fact, I don't even know which one that is. I don't even know what name it is. I'll just watch it. And I'll look it up on YouTube, and I'll say.
You'll find out as soon as they start talking about the JAPSs.
Oh, so it's like a propaganda thing for World War II. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
It's almost like Robert Mitchum was there.
Jill
Snoopy, I swear to God, I would have
stream. I do too.
Thank you. Are you doing 66 with Adam West and Burt Ward as well? Of course.
Yeah, of course. We got to, man.
All right. So everyone can hear my kettle whistling, my kettle being known as Snoopy. And I love him so much. He sits atop his red doghouse and tells me to do things, even when I don't want to do them.
We will temporarily take this video down afterwards, and we will find somebody to stitch it together for us. So that way it will be an epic 3-hour video.
And deservedly so, I would say.
Yes. Yeah,
so should we do like okay, so thanks everybody for sitting around and playing with us during our tumultuous Quentin Tarantino stream.
It's been a fun series.
And Kat, what would do you have anything to promote?
Well, as usual, I'll be on the Virtual Cantina Network every 2nd and 4th Sunday of the month, live streaming at 8 a.m. from that channel as a co-host on the Unifying Force Star Wars Talk Show. And of course, Twitter and Instagram at Slice Night. I'm usually not active on Twitter. And then I'm here on YouTube at Slice Night and here every Wednesday. So
hopefully every Wednesday.
Yeah, hopefully, if you don't die on me, but we'll see. And if we don't get locked out of the account to need to find Steve for the link or the password or the login or whatever it is.
And also you've been doing Andor covers.
That's right.
You've been talking about Andor.
I've been doing that on Star Wars Celebration Europe Facebook page every Thursday night at 6:30 with the watch along officially beginning at 7. I'll be doing that tomorrow, and I've been invited by our friend Ben from Cinema Gulp to do a review of the Banshees of Inisherin with them, so that'll be fun.
Which is, it's really, shut up, Chewie. So anyway,
Snoopy can come on camera if he wants to.
Yeah, no, Snoopy doesn't know how to work a mouse, so he's not allowed to be on camera. And I'm on the Fantasmagorium show on here with you, which is always so amazing. I still have no idea how we're still friends. And then on Thursdays, I talk about Quantum Leap with Anti-Derivative Jill. I bounce all over the place. I'm on Pop Culture Curators animated Star Trek the Animated Series review show every Monday, and I am on Jill's channel to talk about the original series, and then on Fridays I hang out with her. I also end up being a nuisance to Captain Finity. I know no one likes him, but I still like going to hang out with him because he's not all bad. He's not all good, but he's not all bad. And aside from that,
becoming the Lord of the Rings ending here. Come on.
And also Cinema Gulp. We're speaking of Lord of the Rings endings. Cinema Gulp, Tiger Stripes,
and Buckaroo Brothers. Thank you for joining tonight.
Thank you, Buckaroo Brothers. Go check out Rebellious Pastry.
And Jess Carroll and Jack Stafford.
Jess Carroll does the Smirk show and it's all about and also Cardinal Sin. Okay, so seriously, who is going to hang up this call? Am I going to hang up?
I think you're the only one who can.
Okay. Oh, right. We had this whole argument. Okay, do I have to do the outro? Can I pick whatever outro I want?
No, pick the Tarantino outro because it's the last Tarantino film.
But I was gonna do the James Bond one because it was the Spectre 10 year.
The Skyfall 10 years is what's promoting this video, but
That's it. We're done. Go home.
did you see that Captain Spock said, he said, this show turned me from a Tarantino cinema goer to a Tarantino fan. Thanks, Scotty and Catherine.
That's high praise.
That is the highest